A lot of discussion recently, government and particularly the big industry funds, about affordability of housing and how the government, the private sector and certainly the industry funds, the superannuation industry, can work together to create a solution for the shortage of housing and the unaffordability of housing in this country. And it goes down to the intergenerational debate, the haves and the have-nots, the current generation, the baby boomers, how they've done very well, and we're leaving debt legacies, overpriced housing and affordability issues to coming generations. It's an interesting debate. I try and unpack it a bit. I've been on a record for many years saying that the Australian government should be setting up infrastructure bonds, particularly housing, as one part of the infrastructure we need to put in place for the public. Everyone thinks of infrastructure, airports and toll roads and bridges, but infrastructure ensures that our way of life is sustainable. So the thought process is that the government sets up an infrastructure bond. It raises the money from the private sector, the industry funds who subscribe. Whilst that money is being utilised in the development of housing, a return is paid on it, a bond type return, maybe with a little bit more for Australian owners, which is good because Australian owners, Australian industry funds represent Australians. Government pays a slightly higher yield than may be available on a normal bond. Meanwhile, that capital is utilised to build houses, to clear landscape, multi-housing developments, reclaim land, so that we actually build attractive accommodation for people and young families. The biggest risk is the development stage, and what the industry funds are saying, they don't really want to be risking capital in the development stage. Yes, there may be reasonable returns to be made, but they're more interested in a stable return, funding the government and then taking over the cash flows coming off that housing, rental streams in particular, or maybe even providing mortgages on favourable terms. Now that's a reasonable solution. It's something I've been talking about for many years, and it appears now that parties are coming together to think, well, there's a better way to start moving the housing market, meeting the supply shortage, providing affordable housing, and that'll build into a proper infrastructure discussion. You think about Sydney and Newcastle becoming rapidly, if it's not already, New South Wales' second largest city, an attractive place to live. We've got to make the housing affordable in places like Newcastle. We've got to have more housing, and then we can work on the technology around moving people quickly between cities, between Newcastle and Sydney. That's just an example. There's lots of land available in Australia, lots of land available up the east coast of Australia, lots of attractive places to live. It needs a plan. Funding is one plan, which is the infrastructure housing bonds, but also a major plan to develop towns and regional areas of Australia. We've paid lip service to it in the past. We now need an action plan. So let's think about it. We're talking about having a 25-year plan for net zero production of energy in this country. Great plan. But what else can we plan? And I'm not even sure whether that 25-year plan of net zero actually makes sense, but it's a plan. Why can't we have plans, 10-year and 20-year plans regarding housing and accommodation and making it affordable for young families? Why don't we have a 20-year plan to develop new cities and new urban areas across Australia to take the heat off the housing markets in places like Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane? So if we can plan 25 years to net zero, we can plan a lot more inside that time for the benefit of the whole society, and housing is the major problem now confronting government, and we need a plan.